your perception of the risk involved. Okay?
Simpler scenario is drinking water out of a hose.
Yes, exactly.
We've been so conditioned, no, you can't drink the water out of a hose. You got to drink the water out of a bottle.
I love drinking water from a hosey. It's such a great flavor.
Especially this time of year, it's really cold.
I'll go home and drink water out of our hoses. I know that we're actually, our time together is over for the night, but I do want to talk very briefly, if you guys are willing to sit for another moment or two. I want to address what it is that Jeanette said, and I can't necessarily go off on a big half-hour tangent on it, but I'll try to keep it relatively brief. So if you could just one more time pose the question that you asked about.
Well, I just thought to myself that we forget that we've been through a lot of what the rest of the world is experiencing today.
Yes. Okay. Yes, exactly. And someone reminded me too when I was talking about the immediate reaction and response to the incident in Paris. We did have an immediate and beautiful and loving response after 9/11 too. There was a spike of love. The difference is that there was a collective agreement about how to behave or what action to take after Paris, where there wasn't a collective decision about what to do together after 9/11. Tons of people were doing things individually, but there wasn't this togetherness about how we would respond. But then again, the internet wasn't as prolific as it is now. It was an infant. So we didn't have the opportunity to come together and to talk about it and to make decisions to meet and things like that. But the other thing is, I kind of did answer it a little bit, Jeanette, or comment on what Jeanette said by saying that even though other cultures often look at us as though we are inferior because we're not at the peak in mathematics and science the way we're supposed to be, and just sit down and watch. I'm not going to recommend 4 hours, but sit down and recommend 4 minutes of reality TV. And you know what? We got a whole lot of dysfunction going on in this country, and it's airing all over the world. But we have permission to be open. We have permission to talk. We have permission to show the stuff where we are not harmonious. We have permission to be free. We have permission to step up to accept differences when they are aired. So there's some social movements that have originated in the United States of America because we are at the helm of our rise in consciousness, collective consciousness. And one of the ways that you can be witness to that validating point is just the fact that our founding fathers were here in the United States of America putting together one of the most directly connected to universal documents that's ever been written. So here they are, they're in the United States of America, and even though we're a very, very young country, the energetic basis for our country is universal acceptance, universal freedom, the opportunity to explore at your own heart's desire, to live your life in the way that it is that you choose. And since that is the foundation, even though in many ways it has been compromised, the energy of that foundation still exists within us. And if it does veer too far away from us experiencing freedom, we will collectively rise and ask for our freedom back. And who knows when that will happen, but it will if we veer too far away. So as the other world makes fun of us and laughs at us, we're going to be consciousness light years ahead as they're slowly telling each other how they're supposed to live and what deems them worthy. The soul is not here to be monetarily rich. The soul is not here to succeed at science or math. The soul is not here to do any one thing in particular in physical form. The soul is here to evolve and to grow closer and closer to the vibration of love, period. Michelle?
This is a crazy thought. But do you think that, like a continent like Africa, do you think that there are newer souls there?
you know, it's interesting. You know, it's so everybody knows when we talk about what a newer or an older soul is, and we use the language because we've agreed to the language. But since there's no such thing as time, there's no such thing as a newer or an older soul. But I do believe that different areas of our world are drawn to each other to experience similar kinds of awakenings, okay? And it was far more perceptible, the difference of consciousness in different regions when we were more isolated, but as we become less isolated, there'll be more uniformity in consciousness from one region to another. But you know, you have to look at something that's in tremendous contrast to that, and that's when you look at how Rwanda has, how they have virgins since their atrocities and the decisions that were made inside the walls in isolation. They did things that nobody told them to do. There was no council of European and American leaders teaching them how to run their country or how to get out of strife or to find abundance. They did it. It emerged from within them. So even sometimes our limited idea of what might be happening, there might be more numbers of people that are living below the line or have lower levels of awareness or lower innate vibrational energy, but there's always going to be people that have higher vibrational energy everywhere, every place, every time. It's just the nature of how our souls are paralleling with being physical. And that will happen too. It will happen in the countries like Nigeria and so on. The same thing will happen.
How do you know at what level you're vibrating?
You can.
The vibrating.
Huh?
The vibration meter.
The vibration meter.
Dividing conscious within yourself, like dividing conscious.
She's wrong, because I have
Negative thoughts versus positive and loving thoughts.
You broke it. You broke it.
It just doesn't work.
The answer is that.
I wouldn't have to ask the question.
The answer is that there's two ways to really be witness to your own vibrational energy. Number one is to become aware of how you are perceiving the world. Like how many times are you viewing things or people or circumstances through emotions and the lens that's below the line, coming from negative emotions and negative perceptions. Anger, disappointment, rage, jealousy, greed, helplessness, disempowerment. If your view of reality is coming from the lens that is very much below the line, not at neutral or above, then you can pretty much be assured that your present level of awareness is somewhere below the line. It doesn't mean your innate vibrational energy is too. It just means that you're carrying a bunch of junk from your childhood that you haven't been able to shed yet to get closer to the vibration of your soul. And another thing is, like what I was saying with the animals, how like animals like me, it is funny how the world changes when you change.
Yeah.
You know, what my reality is and who I magnetize in is so different now than it was 10 years ago. So, you know, it used to just surprise me all the time, and in the beginning I would fight it, like, you know, somebody leaves, I'm like trying to reel them back in. You know, I'm used to the agony of being friends with you. Come on back. And so it takes an adjustment to let them go. But then when you realize you let them go and something really good and wonderful comes and takes its place, and there's no better example of something good and wonderful than what's in this room, then you get to see that your vibrational energy has really increased. And you know, maybe it's me and I'm biased, but there's no one I'd rather spend time with than the people that are in this room. This is where I want to be, because everybody's got the same intention of living to the best of their ability and to vibrating closer and closer to the vibration of love. And with you guys at home, too. I'm not leaving you out. You're in the room, literally. But to be a part of this choice, to be part of this perception. You know, it makes each one of us our own special kind of point of light, that when the earth is going round and round, we can be influential in helping others to increase their positive level of awareness as well. But thanks for the question. And thank you, everybody, for being here tonight. And I look forward to seeing you all on January 24th.
Yes, yes,
And we will have our beautiful and handsome Derek Hennig will be playing and entertaining us.
Yay.
So come and appreciate us all.